So, I had an idea for many years, but I couldn't figure out how to make it work. It was a simple image, giant broken statue heads and a tiny traveler passing by, wondering who built them and why. It's nothing new, you've probably seen something like it before many times. Yet, trying too hard to be original can burn you out, so I hope to make this image someday. But I was failing over and over again. And after several attempts and many sketches, I left this idea for 7 years. And when I started working on my big and untitled project, someday I'll come up with a proper name, I hope, I realized it was the perfect time to finally use this plot for a keyframe. So, let me tell you a little bit about the project. It's still a work in progress, but here's the main idea. Imagine a fantasy world where a magical apocalypse destroyed a super advanced magical civilization. What's left behind? Ruins. Just ruins and a handful of survivors. Generations go by and people rebuild the world, but over time they forget what happened. They live simple lives now, with the technology behind what it used to be. And when they come across these ancient ruins, some of them on a daily basis, they can't help but wonder, what are these? Who built them? What were the people before us like? But these people have their own everyday problems and tasks, and these ancient buildings became just a part of a landscape. So, what the deal with these statues? Who were they dedicated to? Honestly, I didn't want to dive into the lore right away. It felt like a rabbit hole where you could just get lost easily. I started to think, maybe these ancient people believed in some god, and due to the myth, he might have done something for them as his followers were in danger. They received help, maybe some powers, and saved humankind. These first followers became saints or heroes for the rest of the people, and that's why we can see statues for them. But I need to imagine how this god can look like for my future design purposes. I imagined this god might have bird-like features, and his followers could have worn bird-like clothing like helmets or armor. I might change my mind later as I keep working on this project, but honestly, if that happens, I'll just make a new god. That's the beauty of a personal project. You can keep change it until it feels right. Maybe I should think about the whole pantheon of gods. Working on a big project alone is tough. I mean, that's no secret. I started on one part and then bam, I hit a wall. Suddenly, I've got all these questions I need to figure out before I can move forward. Or worse, I don't really solve them. I just slap on a quick fix and think I'll come back to this later. And honestly, it feels like that happens with everything. For about a year, all I did was collecting references, writing down ideas, and sketching, but not in a productive way. But the fear of a bad result just froze me. I ended up doing absolutely nothing. Eventually, though, I had to make a decision. I came up with a few rules for myself. First, I decided to limit the number of questions I tried to answer at the same time. Instead of trying to solve one big and complex task, I decided to break it into smaller pieces. And then I broke those into even simpler steps. Second, I realized there would be a lot of iterations, and I need to embrace that process. Iterations are just a natural part of any project, because they can evolve with the time and efforts. For example, I decided to design a complete fantasy creature for my wagon. Because I like to design creatures and the personal project is a perfect opportunity to do so. But after exploring the lore more, I decided there should be regular animals, like in our world, with some fun features maybe. And there should be some magical fantasy creatures with unique designs and powers, like a different class of animal. The thing is, I came up with this new concept after I had already finished 2 keyframes with my wagon. But I'm not planning to change these keyframes. I have to keep going. And that's okay. It's all part of the process, part of the exploration. Plus, I can do whatever I want since it's a personal project. Some questions need answers right away, some can wait, and some I can ignore them entirely, or change my mind, or delete some aspects from my project at all. And here is something else I realized. Once you've made a few pieces for the project, you can reuse parts from them. You can take parts of what you've already done and build some new designs with all parts. For example, you can take photos for PhotoBush over and over again, 3D parts. Even some pieces from finished works can be reused. And this method saves time and helps keep a consistent look across different parts of my project. But seriously, it's so important to stay organized. But let's return to the keyframe, especially the traveler. I made the wagon with the idea that I could reuse it in other pictures. And trust me, this won't be the last time you see it. While working on this video, I even finished a second keyframe with it. Originally, I imagined this wagon belongs to a traveling merchant. He trades goods and spreads news between villages and towns. It's like a medieval version of the internet. I also thought there might be many merchants like this, each with their own specialty. Maybe one sells herbs and medicines, another carries everyday items, and a third one buys rare and unique handmade goods in villages and trade them in bigger cities. I think I have to explore this idea later for sure. And I guess that's all for this video. I hope my story wasn't too boring. I am planning to share the process of working on this project here on YouTube. I think it will help me organize my thoughts in the long run, and hopefully it will be fun for you to follow along too. See you in the next video. Bye!